PS4 controller into a Wiimote for the Dolphin Emulator. Now, if you don't know what the Dolphin Emulator is, it is the best emulator for GameCube and Wii, and if you know me, you know I love racing games, and the Wii had some amazing racing games. I used to have a Wii, and I loved playing games like Speed Racer and Excitebots and all these games you see here on my list here. Hopefully I'll be able to do videos with gameplay of these soon. I'm trying to fix a stuttering issue, but regardless, today I wanted to show you guys how to turn your PS4 controller into a Wiimote. And I know that sounds really weird, but the Wiimote had an accelerometer, which the Wii took advantage of and the developers took advantage of to put a lot of motion controls into. And obviously you can't really emulate that with anything that doesn't have motion controls or like an accelerometer. However, the PS4 controller has an accelerometer, and I worked for a while to map that to a Wiimote, and I actually figured it out, and I wanted to share it with you guys today. So there are going to be two programs that you're going to need. The first is obviously you're going to need Dolphin Emulator. However, I'm using version 9703 of the 5.0 revision of Dolphin Emulator because, and if I'll scroll down here to the next page, and here on 9705, you could see they did something to the tilt swing orientation data using matrix math. I have no idea what that means. All I know is that that messed up whatever method I'm using. And so for all the versions beyond that, this method is broken. So the latest version that I can use is the 9703 method, or the 9703 version. So that's the version that you're going to need if you want this method to work. Now, the other program you're going to need is DS for Windows. This is the best way to emulate a Xbox 360 controller on Windows using a PS4 controller. And this is how we're going to map the PS4's accelerometer to all of our controls and whatnot. So all you have to do is download these two programs. The setup should be fairly simple, but I wanted to show you guys the setup inside the programs themselves. So we're going to open up DS for Windows here. And as you can see, I have my PS4 controller connected through USB. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the profile that I'm using. Of course, I named it Yeet because why not? And the most important controls here are the gyro controls. Now, obviously, you want to click Use for Controls. The tilt up, down, left, and right, we are going to assign to the Xbox 360 stick here on the right side. And yeah, you can screenshot my controls here so you can more easily follow along instead of, rushing through the video. And the only other method, or the only other control that I touched was the touchpad control. I like to use it as a mouse, so instead of having to reach over to my mouse and keyboard when I'm relaxing playing a Wii game, I can just close it and select my games using the touchpad, which is a really neat feature. But like I said, the most important thing, obviously, is the gyro you want to use for controls and then map it to the Xbox 360 right stick. So the next thing we have to do to set up is go into Dolphin and go into the controllers menu, and then with the Wii Remote 1, you want to use a emulated Wiimote, and then we'll just configure it here. One setting that you want to make sure is on is the sideways Wiimote setting in the bottom right here. That's very important. And then the buttons, you can just screenshot and assign them. They're fairly straightforward. So A, B goes to the X and the circle button on the PS4 controller respectively. Now 1 and 2 I put as triggers because that more accurately represents a normal racing game in my opinion. So like what you would normally find on like an Xbox or a PlayStation game. And the minus and plus button I just put as the option and the share button on the PS4 controller. Now the D-pad is very self-explanatory, just up, down, left, and right, whatnot. And what the most important thing is the motion controls and IR here. Now, for the swing here, this is the most important thing. I know it's kind of weird for us to be mapping it to the swing, but whatever thing is happening in version 9703, the swing is either broken or it's like perfectly functional to specifically a PS4 controller for some reason. But yeah, we won't actually be using tilt controls, we will be using swing controls. So I'm going to pick up my PS4 controller here. And basically, as you can see, when I'm moving my PS4 controller, well, you can't see me moving it, but I'm tilting it up and down and whatnot, and you can see it's highlighting what's going on. And so all you need to do is click on the respective control here and then just trigger that option on your controller. So for up, I'm going to click this, and then on the right stick of the PS4 controller, I'm going to move it up, and then you can do that for the rest of them here. And yeah, that'll basically do it for the swing controls. For the extension, you don't need to do anything because you don't need an extension here. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't get any rumble to work, but I think that's just an issue with DS4 Windows and Dolphin kind of interacting with each other. But other than that, that will basically do it, and how to make your PS4 controller a Wiimote in Dolphin. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to some gameplay here and show you guys what I mean. Alright guys, so here I am in Speed Racer with the controller set up and everything like that. So I'm going to click begin race, or hit the trigger. I'll rev up here, and so the 2 button works and everything like that. And as you can see, I'm off to the races here, and everything seems to be working fine. Now, getting tilt controls like that to be set up is not really that hard, especially with like an Xbox 360 controller. But the most important thing is that all the tilt functions work. So if I want to shunt, I can shove my controller left and right, and that works normally and everything like that. And if I wanted to jump, I can do that as well, all perfectly fine. If I wanted to do like a spin, I can do that as well. It's not the perfect setup, of course. I mean, it isn't a you know, an actual Wiimote, so there are going to be issues. Like for instance, if you raise your controller up, it'll kind of freak out like this. As you can see, it won't know what to do. But if you kind of hold it and at a like kind of 90-degree angle, it works just fine, and you know, it works like a real Wiimote. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya.